Hello everyone, welcome to SAP Technomaniac. In this video, we will see what is access rule in CDS access control. What all are the different kind of access rules are available in CDS access control. We will see authorization object creation, how to create one authorization object, how to use that authorization object in a particular role which we create using PFCG T-code, and that role we will assign to particular user. And after assigning that role to the user, we will use that authorization object in our DCL. And we will see, based on the authorization object, how the data will be fetched for particular user. That all things we will see in this video. Let's get started. First, we talk about what is access rule in CDS access control. As you know, when we create one CDS access control, this is the syntax. As you can see, define role, and we will give the role name, then we will give some grant select on, we will define here CDS entity, and we give the where condition. The whatever we define from starting from grant until this semicolon, whatever the things, it is called one access rule. Inside the access rule, we will define the different access conditions also. So there is three kind of access rules are available. So first is the conditional rule, where we will provide some access conditions inside that. We talk about the access conditions, different kind of access conditions in upcoming video, but we are talking about the access rules. This is the one kind of condition where we define some condition. Second is a grant rule. Grant rule means we are giving the entire access without where conditions. We are giving the entire access to the particular CDS, whatever for CDS entity, whatever we have defined this particular DCL for this particular which CDS entity we are giving the entire access. This is called the grant rule. There is a third rule called inherited rule. If we want to apply from existing CDS role, we have created some existing CDS role, we want to inherit that role conditions to this CDS, then we will use inherit rule. That is called inherit rule. That also see, however, the inherit rule got absolute instead of we are having the inherit conditions. So that also will see what all are the different kind of condition. In that conditions, we have the inherit conditions. I know this is a little bit confusing, this all the things, but one by one we will go each and everything, then we will get to know all the things. So first thing, we are talking about the access rules. So you can see, as I told you, whenever we are defining a role, starting from grant to till semicolon, this is one access rule. We can define multiple access rules in particular DCL. It can be for one CDS entity, or it can be for different CDS entities. So you can see this is the one access, this is defined role YDCL sample 02. This is a access rule we have created. We have created the DCL, we can say, and inside the DCL we have created first access rule where we are giving some PFCG authorization based authorization object based condition, and another condition we have given based on the literal. There are different kind of other conditions also there, we will see in upcoming videos, but as of now these two conditions are enough. One is the literal condition we have given where the literal condition, and second condition we have given based on the authorization object. So as per SAP, they are always advise us to use only one access rule in one DCL. One access control, you have to use only one access rule. You should not use multiple, but if it is required, you can use grant rule. There is something I told you, there is three kind of rules. One is the first is the which is giving that some based on some conditional rule, and second is the grant rule, and third is the inherited rule. Grant rule, where we don't define any where condition here. You can see we didn't define any where condition, and just we are granting entire access to particular CDS entity using this DCL. So what is the advantage of this one? If SAP have a lot of consumption views. They have created consumption view also there, and the composite view also there. They have given some access control over for that particular views. But those access control we want to override. We want to give either full access, or we want to define our access control in the, if you want to give full access to those particular composite view or consumption view, in that case we can use this one, this rule along, we can create for those DCL without modification of anything, and we can give this grant rule that will override that one, because those all the different rule will be defined by the DCLs. Now you can see for one CDS entity we can create the different access controls we can create. So in SAP, whatever the SAP created access control, there is a lot of authorization object they have used where condition, a lot of things they have used. We want to override, we just created different DCL using the grant select and using the grant rule, then those will be override, because we have given entire access to that particular DCL, or we can say. So how this different access control will be joined, so that we will see. So first thing, before going to that, first thing we will see that conditions rules are there. So grant rule, you understand, to give the entire access to particular CDS, and conditional rule where we apply some where condition. This is very simple. You can see I have applied where condition using the literal. You can use the authorization object as well. It will restrict the data based on the where conditions. So as I told you, in one CDS role we can define the different access control for same CDS entity. In this case, you can see how it will be combined. If we don't define anything, basically either this one or this one, these conditions will be combined based on or condition. Either this should satisfy or this should satisfy. If we have different access rules, these are called access rules for one particular CDS entity in the one particular CDS role. This is defined role, this is CDS role. Inside this CDS role there are two access rules are there, and they have different conditions. So each access rules conditions combined with the OR. This is inside one CDS role we have the one different access rule. But if we have different CDS role for particular single CDS entity, that also possible. You can have the CDS role 1, inside that you have access rule 1, and CDS role 2, there also you have some access rule that is defined for particular CDS 1 CDS entity itself. So for this CDS entity there are two different roles, and in this two different role is there are two access rules, both are in different CDS roles. So you can see I have given here example. You can see this YDDLS sample 02. This is one of the conditions, one of the access rule is there, and there is another DCL I have created for that same CDS entity where I have another conditions. So if this also will be combined, it will be combined with the OR conditions only. Either these three rules, these all three will be combined using the OR conditions. This should be satisfied, or this should be satisfied, or this should be satisfied. Anything is satisfying, it will fetch the data from the database. Like that it will happen. That is the reason I told you, when you create the grant rule on this particular CDS entity, entire rule, then since it is satisfying, it is combined using the OR conditions, so it will give all the data, all the access. Because this condition grant rule always it will satisfy. Even there are different rules are there, because there is one grant rule also there, it will give entire access, so that it will satisfy every time, because we have one grant rule. So in this case, that is the reason I am telling, if some SAP provides some CDS with some DCL, if we create another DCL for that particular same CDS entity using the grant rule, that time what will happen, those another CDS access rules conditions will be vanish, or we can say it will be not impacted, because we have one grant rule on that particular CDS entity. That's a very important thing. These are very useful in real time when we see the data and we want to use some of the CDS views in the existing standard CDS views. They have the DCLs, and we are not able to use because they have already some authorization objects applied over there. Now we will talk about by default they are combining using OR condition, as we can say. but I want to combine using those particular different access rules using the AND condition instead of OR conditions. So there is some conditional rules are for the conditional rule it is applied, because we have the condition in the grant rule, anything we can't combine, because in the conditional rule only we put the where conditions. If you want to combine this particular access rule with this particular access rule, how you will combine? By default it combined by OR, but if you want to combine by AND, this and this both should satisfy. There is something called combination mode, and we can give AND over here. Then by default it is OR. You use OR or not OR, it is by default OR. But if you want to combine this and this conditions also should satisfy, or this condition also should satisfy, both the condition should satisfy, then only I want to fetch the data from this particular CDS entity. In this case you have to use combination mode AND. If you are having the access rule same different access rule in the same CDS role, or in different DCL we are having, and we want to combine with the AND condition, then you have to use combination mode AND. And you by default combination mode is OR, as I told you. By default those conditions are combined using the OR conditions. If you want to use AND, then you have to use combination mode AND. The conditional access rules, apart from combination mode, we have something called redefinition also. Suppose SAP provided this DCL for this particular CDS entities. There are a lot of PFGC conditions are there, literal conditions are there, a lot of access rules are already provided. Now I want to override this access control with based on my authorization object, based on my literal condition. I want to override this. One way I already told you, just create another DCL or another access control for this particular CDS entity and give entire access. But I want to give my own condition instead of giving giving the grant full access. I want to give my own condition instead of SAP condition. In that case, we can use this redefinition. You can see this is one of the DCL which is having two access rules are there. I want to override these two access rules based on my own DCL. So I can create my own DCL on same CDS entity, and I can write redefinition, and I can define my own conditions. Now what will happen? Both the conditions will be not evaluated, only this condition will be evaluated. But one more important thing, only one for particular CDS entity, only one DCL or only one access control we can create using the redefinition. If you create the multiple, either you will get the right away the syntax error, or when you execute you will get the error. This addition also can be disabled existing. If somebody given the full access control and we want to override that full access control, that also we can do using the redefinitions. We create another DCL and we define we can give the redefinition, and we can give our own conditions. It will override the grant full access as well. But SAP never give the full access for the CDS entity. Either they will not create at all, or they will create with some authorization objects, or some based on some literals, or there are different kind of conditions are there. That also we will discuss in upcoming videos. We have discussed about the grant rule, we have discussed about the conditional rule. Last is the inherited rule. However, inherited rules are absolute, but still just to sake the knowledge purpose we can learn the inherited rule as well. Now instead of inherited rule, we have something called inherited conditions. As I told you, we have different kind of conditions. In that we have one of the inherited conditions also there, that we will discuss in upcoming video. So inherit rule, what we will do, suppose we have one existing role. This is demo example I took. I didn't create my own example. So in this case, one demo CDS role lit PFGC created on this particular CDS entity, CDS auth lit PFGC, where they have some auth object which is restricting based on the care ID and based on the currency conditions. In this case, they have combined two conditions. One is the auth, one is the authorization object base, and along with the currency code base. This is simple access control they have created on this particular CDS entity. Now they have created, they want to use this particular access control in some other access control. So what they have done, so they have created different access control, and what they are doing, they on the another CDS entity. Why they have created another CDS entity? Suppose they have used this CDS entity inside this CDS entity. So I want to inherit the condition of this CDS entity inside this another CDS role as well. Because I'm using this CDS entity, I want to use the role of that particular CDS entity as well. In that case, what they did, they have created for this another CDS entity which they have created based on this CDS entity. They want to use the role also. What they did, they created new role and they inherited this existing role along with some other conditions as well. So in that case, for this new CDS entity, all the things will be applied, whatever the available in this particular existing role for this particular CDS entity. Along with that, this particular additional condition will be applied, currency code equal to USD. So this is the how it will work in inherit rule. It's just inheriting the condition or whatever the existing conditions in this particular role, and along with that we are including additional condition as well. However, this got absolute, but just the knowledge purpose I just want to explain. So there is some important point also there. A CDS role can only contain one inherited access role. You can declare inside one DCL one inherited rule only. You can't declare multiple inherited rule inside the access control. That's a very important thing, as you can see. And second important thing, which the parent entity also should have only one access rule, and that also based on one CDS entity only. That is the single access rule should be there, and exactly one CDS entity which itself can be inherited in the access rule. This is the mandatory thing whenever you are creating the inherited rules. So this is how you inherit the things. We will try to see in the system these all the things. One of our DDIC based CDS view. In that, what we did, we just put simple literal condition. Now what we will do, we will create one authorization object, and that authorization object we will use instead of using simple literal condition. To create a authorization object, you have to click on, you have to go to SU21 T-code. To open any T-code from the Eclipse, you can click on Alt F8 and you can write your T-code here, SU21, and you can click on the T-code. The T-code will open here. Once the T-code will open, now what we will do, we'll create the authorization object for us. To creating the auth object, first we have to create our object class. The objects class, nothing, it's combined a lot of authorization object in one hood, and inside that we can create multiple authorization object. First we will create the object class. You have to click here and you have to create the object class. I will create G object, Z CDS I create, and what I will do, I will give some meaningful description. So auth object for CDS, like that I can give, and I will save this one. It will ask for TR. I can give some package and I can give the TR as well, or you can create new TR, or you want to use existing TR, that's your wish. And data is saved now. Let me go to my object class which I have created, GCDS is there. Now what I will do, I will create authorization object for this. So click on create authorization. Either you can click from here, or you can go to the again here and you can create the authorization object. As soon as you click on create authorization object, we have to give some authorization object. So instead of applying the VKORG directly from the literal conditions, in this case it will be applied for all the users. But my requirement is that I want to apply this VKORZ conditions based on the different users. Some of the users should have this VKORZ access, some of the users should have some another VKORZ sales org access. Like that I want to apply. For that, I want to create the authorization object. So obviously, I will give G VKORZ since I want to create the authorization object for VKORZ. I can give some description sales org auth object. Like that I can give some description over here, and I will save this one. Yeah, sorry. First, before saving, I have to define some of the fields. So obviously, what I will do, I will define some of the authorization field. In this case, I need the VKORZ field. Either I can use standard VKORZ field. This is already available auth field in the database, or I can create my own field, authorization field, using the field maintenance. You can click on the field maintenance. You can create your own authorization field. Suppose I want to create G VKORZ, and I can give some data element for this VKORZ I want to give, and either you can check table, or you want to use whatever that this data element have some based on this data element you want to use search help, that you can give. Just you have to click on the save button, and it will create one authorization field as well based on your requirement. You have to save this also in the TR. Once it is saved, you have to come back and you have to give this authorization field. I don't want to give this standard VKORZ. Instead of that, I want to give Z VKORZ, which I have created. So I want to give this authority field. Second field, we have to give activity. Activity field is there. That's basically this authorization field is used. You want use for the when this authorization object is applied. That time activity means there are the different values. You want to display it, you want to change it, you want to give the access only for the display or the change or display change, both that kind of things we have give. Let me save this one. Save in the TR, and it will be saved. This is telling permissible activities are not maintained. Yeah, obviously we have to maintain the some of the permissible activities since we have given activity authorization field. So you have to click on permissible activities. What all are the things you want to give? What all are the things you want to give on the activity? Suppose I want to give the display field. I want to give the access only for the display. Anyway, CDS we can't modify. Using the CDS we can't modify or change anything. That is the reason we have to give display only. If you want to create authorization object for some other purpose that some user can change also, then you have to select based on your requirement. Okay, just click on the save button and click on save. Okay, and close this out. So I have created the authorization object, and I have created the authorization object class, and inside this authorization object card, one of the authorization object I have created. Now what I will do, I will use this authorization object inside my DCL. In the authorization object, I just want to show you what all are the data we are getting currently from this DDIC based CDS view. Let me do F8. You can see we are getting the data currently only for the sales of 1710. If I would have used grant access rule instead of conditional rule, control shift less than, that I have already showed you in last video. Let me do control F3. Let it activate DCL and the refresh the data. You can see now I not only I got the data from 1710, I have got the data from NA01 and other sales org as well. If you click on more entries, you will get the more entries, and you can see the different sales org you got. Now I want to apply this particular access control which I have created on this particular sales in particular sales org. Since I have created the authorization object for the sales org, I will apply, instead of this literal condition, that auth object. To apply the auth object, you have to use aspect, and for the PFGC condition, you have to use PFGC auth, and you have to give your authorization object name. In my case, GVKORZ is my authorization object. Then comma, if you do control space, what all are the fields are there? First is the GVKORZ field is there, and second field is the control space you will do. You will get the second field as a activity. The activity value you want to give, if there are different value, that also you can give here. Suppose I want to give 0, 3. So in this case, I have applied, this is the simplest way. For the one field, you have applied this auth condition instead of using the literal condition. Let me do shift F1 and control F3. Let it activate. What I will do now, I shall refresh the data. We have created the auth object for this, but for this auth object, currently for my user ID, there is no access. That is the reason I didn't get any data at all. To give access to particular this authority object, I have to create one role. In that role, we have to assign this auth object, and that role should be assigned to my user ID as well. Then only I can get the access. To create a role in the SAP, we use PFCG T-code. But in real time, we don't, as a ABAPer, we don't create the roles and auth objects. This auth object sometime we create, but roles we will not create and we will not assign to user IDs. It's done by the security guys. To create this one, so you have to use, just the knowledge purpose, I want to show you how to create the role. You have to open the one T-code called Alt F8. You have to accept. Okay, I switched to debugger perspective. Let me switch back to the ABAP perspective. Control F8 you will do, you can change the perspectives in the Eclipse. If you do Alt F8, then you can open any T-code, whatever you want to open. In PFCG, I want to open, I might have pronounced PFGC, that is wrong, or I might have, I think in the PPT also I might have written wrongly, so that also wrong. So I have to create one new role there. So G, I will create G. This role will be based on the VKORZ. I want to create this role. You have to give the role name and you have to create a single role. So this role I should assign this auth object which I have created. To assign the auth object, you have to you have to give some description, role or sales org you can give, and you have to assign this auth object. To assign, you have to click on the authorizations. You want to save? Yes, I want to save this first, and change the authorization data. You have to click over here to assign the. I learned from the one of the guy. He taught me just to show you guys, sir. So you can see in this case, I don't want to apply any template. You want to use existing template, then you want to do. In this case, I don't want to apply any template. Do not select any template. And now I want to add manually some of the authorization object. So manual entry of the sum of the authorization object. In my case, GVKORZ is my authorization object, and you have to click on enter. This authorization object got added here. So inside this, we have the auth object class GCDS. Inside this we have auth object. Inside this we have the profile which have generated, and we have two fields, GVKORZ and ACTVT. I want to give some values over here. VKORZ, we have one of the VKORZs VVSO. I want to give the user access only for this VVSO for this particular role. So I will save it. This is the value I want to give for the VKORZ, and activity I have only one, so I will give 03. Save it. Let me save this one, and it will generate one new profile. You have to just click on the save. Now I have added this authorization object to this role. Now I have to assign Okay, there is some error is there, authorization, some error is there. Let me go back inside. Error means it's not activated completely. There is some issue, it's activated this one. Okay, I have to click on the generate. So it will generate the authorization. Now profile were updated. Let me go back. Now it is activated. You have to see this is green. This should be green, not yellow. Now I have added in this role this particular authorization. I want to add user to this role as well. So in this case, I have my ID ABAP 3. So I will go to user and I will add this particular role to my user ID. And I will click on enter. Now it got added. Let me save it. Okay. Something else should be there. User comparison I need to do because it is still yellow. It should be green. So that is the reason you didn't do user comparison. Just do this. We have created first time. That is the reason you just have to click on full comparison. I don't know that much on this PFCG. I just learned how to create and how to assign. That only I know. So now we have added the auth object to this particular authorization object we have created, and we have created we have added inside the role the auth objects and user as well. Now this particular authority object is having this user access. So what I will do now, I will refresh the data. So you will surprise now, since we have used this auth object inside our DCL, when you refresh the data, you will get the data only for the VVSO cells org, because you have access now to the VVSO cells org. You don't get the different cells org access. Like that, we can create different roles for the different users, for the different cells org, so that they can access that particular VKORG, particular cells org only. It's one of the examples. So how this is the way the sales org, this is the way how we can apply classical authorization objects in our CDS. Now we will see different kind of the CDS, the CDS access rules, how we can use multiple. First we will see that one. So I have now this rule is applied. Along with this rule, I want to get the data not only for the VVS, so I want to get the 1710 as well. This is my requirement. I applied this auth object. I can create another access rule, or one more thing. I can do this way, or VKORG equal to 1710. Control F3. It got activated, or when I refresh the data, I will get the data not only for the VVSO, I will get the data from the 1710. You can see the distinct values. You got the data from both the cells. This is the one way, and this is another. We have to create one access rule only, just to showing purpose. If you want to create you can create the multiple access rules inside the particular CDS, a particular DCL, sorry. So access control, I can create like this as well. 1710, and this time this is not required because we are not using the PFGC role. This is some basic literal conditions. If I do Control F3, in this case also I will get the same result only, because it will combine using the OR. You can see OR I got. Okay, now what I want to use, I want to show you some combination mode. So instead of the combination mode, I can use here, not here exactly, after the CDS entity definition, I can use like this combination mode. By default, it is OR. By default, it is OR, we already know. Control F3, there will be no difference. If I will refresh the data and I activate the data, activate the access control, there is no difference. But if I use combination mode and Control F3, I will do, and I will refresh the data, I will not get anything, because I filtered here based on VVSO and I'm filtering here based on 1710. both conditions never will get satisfied together. So that is the reason I didn't get any data. This is the impact of the combination mode. By default it is OR. If you want to add AND, you can add AND as well. Like that, for the same CDS, we have defined the different access rules inside one DCL. We can define, let me remove this one combination mode, and instead of AND, we can put OR, and let me activate Control F3 and refresh the data again. I should get the data now, 1710 along with the VVSO as well. What I will do, I will create another DCL along with for the same CDS entity. So what I will do, let me create another DCL. So I will right click on this, or I can do in my CDS entity, I can right click, new access control, I can click, I can give Z DCL, what I have given previously named G DCL underscore sample underscore 01 underscore 01, like that I can give. This is my 0101, or I can 02 I can give. So this is the CDS access control for which CDS entity? This one. Control read. Okay. You can give any meaningful description. You have to click on next button. You have to click on, you have to choose some TR, you have to click next button. Define role with simple condition. Yeah, I want to define, or PFG aspect you want to define, that also you can choose. If you want to inherited condition, we will discuss in next video, and these are the different things. That also with privilege access means grant access also we can define. These are the things we can use the template. As of now, I will use simple basic template where we can define both the things, conditions and all. Let me click on finish. Let me minimize this one. I have created another DCL for the same CDS. So what I will do, this is VVSO I got. Suppose I define another VKORG condition here. Let me do VKORG. Same, what I will do, I will just copy paste this one. Control C, Control V. We have another VKORG also. Let me use some other VKORG. 1710 is there, VVSO also there, and let me, what I will do, I will see what all are the VKORG, all are the VKORG is there. For that, what I have to do, let me do Control Shift less than and Control Shift less than. Let me remove this also, grant full access, and let me do activate and the refresh the data. What all are the cells over there? We can see like this. Distinct values I can see. I will use NA01 now. Okay, so again uncomment this, all the things, Control Shift greater than, it will get the uncommented. So in this case, if you refresh the data, let me activate this one, Control F3, and the refresh the data. Now I will get only for the 17. If I see the distinct values 170 and VV. Now I want to get the data from the NA01 as well. For that I have created another DCL. I will do NACL, NA01. So in this case, all the conditions will be combined using the, okay, I have to use this one, not the DDL source name, I have to use the CDS entity name. So I have used here 1710, here we have used VVSO, here we have used the NA0. All three we should get the data. Let me activate this one. But in this case, there are two DCL we have created, two access control, which will be combined using the OR. That I want to show you. Suppose you have some standards DCL which they have already defined some of the conditions. On top of that OR condition, and you want to add some of the things, your own conditions, you can add like that. You can create your own DCL, and you can see that how you can see how it will work. Let me refresh the data. It got activated. Now not only 1710 and NA0 VVSO will get the values from the NA01 as well. You can see we have all the values. NA01 also will be there. You can see NA01 is there, VVSO also there. All three cells of data is there. Like that, based on our requirement, we can create the DCLs based on our requirement. Suppose one last thing I want to show, combination mode we have seen. we have to see the redefinition. Suppose I have defined is a redefinition of this particular CDS entity. Instead of defining normal defining role, I will use here redefinition. Redefinition, what it will do, whatever the access control, existing access control which is defined for this particular CDS entity, that will be ignored. So let me activate this one, Control F3, and let me refresh the data for this one. Now you get the data only for the NA01. You see the distinct values, only you have one value, NA01. So like that, it's a very simple. It's a, if you go to the standard documents and documentation and try to learn, it's a very confusing and all lot of things you have to see here and there. I did a lot of things, then only I concluded. And most of the times what I can see, you will see this kind of conditions only. This with along with the and different auth objects, or max you can use literal conditions. You never see in the SAP standard also they have used the different multiple access rule inside the CDS, single CDS access control. They never use multiple access rules. I think that's it for this video. In my next video, what we will do, we will create the different kind of the access conditions. We have used as of now the basic aspect, this authorization based object conditions. Second is that we have used the literal conditions. Apart from that, there are other conditions also there, that also we will see. I hope you learn something from this video. Please like this video, subscribe my channel, and share these videos with others as well, so they can also learn. And whatever you feel about those videos, please write it down in comment section. It will give me huge motivation to create videos like this. With that, thank you and happy learning.